Okay, this is for Class A subnetting. Uh, hopefully you've seen my Class C and my Class B subnetting videos, and they show you exactly the same thing. With Class C, we just work with the last octet. With a Class B, we work with 2 octets, and with this Class A, we'll be working with 3 octets. You can see it gets a little bit crowded down here because the numbers we're doubling the numbers. If you remember from Class C and Class B, we double the numbers on the network line. I put the N to indicate the network line. Um, so you want to, have a calculator so you can do that, because once you get down here, unless you've got these all memorized, they get pretty big because you're just doubling them each time. It's pretty good. 256, 512, these are all easy, but once you get down here, it's a little more difficult. I'm just going to give you an overview of a Class A and how we would use this chart on a Class A. Give you a couple examples, and hopefully this will make it pretty easy for you. And you'll be able to use this chart on a Class A just like we have on the Class C and the Class B, and you can take this with you anywhere you want to go. One thing you'll notice is in all the classes, these bit numbers are all the same in each octet, so uh, that makes it pretty easy. And we always start numbering our bits on the right and go backwards, starting with 1 and going backwards. And I say that in each one of my videos, but I want to remind you, in this case, we're doing a Class A, so we're going to be laying out 3 sets of 8 bits, and I'm putting a dot in between each one so that we can, separate the 3 so you know which is which, because we'll want to know that. So I just gave a typical Class A. I just 10 or any number that's under 129, so 128 or below, it's going to be a Class A for the first octet. And typically, because it's Class A, we're able to work with these 3, and we'll also have the 3 open in the subnet mask. And remember, in this Class B, we had these 2 open and these 2 open, and these were already taken. Remember, the 255 and 255 were taken. And in the Class C, it was 255, 255, 255, 0. And all these were used up. And in Class C, we just used the last one. And you remember that there's 8 bits, and these 8 bits add up to 255. That means that this one in front that we can't see, this part of the subnet mask, is all filled up with 1s. The rest of these are all 0s right now until we start sliding to the right to use them up. It's going to be real easy, and trust me, you'll really get this once we're done with this. It's just going to take a few minutes to get there, so be patient, and trust me when I tell you, you will understand this when you're done watching this video. Don't worry about finding any more videos. This is the one you need. You'll notice I didn't finish up on the largest numbers because they're just getting crowded, and we're not going to be working with these uh, bits down here. I'm not going to be using any of these for examples. If anything, it'll be something in here or up to here. So if I need to, I'll go ahead and double that number, you know. But for now, we don't have to worry about it. Generally, in a quiz or in a question that a professor will throw at you, he'll give you an IP address. Like, for example, he'll say, okay, it's a Class A, it's 10/27/3 slash 0. Well, what is that? What subnet? What is, tell me something about that. And he'll also tell me something like, for this number back here will be 18. All right. So that's going to tell you a whole lot of stuff. And here's how we're going to do it. If he tells you this is 18, then this subnet mask is going to be different. And we're going to do that right now because the subnet mask and this have to match. They are the same thing. So if he tells you 18, then this is not 18 because this is 8, remember? This has just got 8 bits. 18 would be 8 plus 8. You'd have to have 255 here to get that to be 8. And then 2 more because we need to get 10, right? We've got 8, we need 10 more. So we would have to slide the bar all the way over. That's 8. And then 10, we would put the bar here. That would be 10 bits, right? That would bring this to a /18. And I'm going to give you the sitter number line below. Hold on one sec. Okay, so I laid out the sitter line here so that when the professor tells you 18, let's go ahead and change that now. Then you'll be able to answer that for him. Okay, we changed the subnet mask to match this /18. And the reason we do that is if you remember in the class C and the class B, uh, as we're sliding our line, and we always slide it from the left to the right, we borrow the bits as we slide. So as we slide, we're going to be using them up. So if we use up this one in the third octet in the class and the subnet mask, it's adding these numbers. So 128 plus 64 is 192, plus 32 is 224. So if I put my line here, then my subnet mask would be 255.224 because we're, whatever these are added up together. Well, since we're doing an 18, we're going to slide all the way down, which means we have to use up all these bits. And we know from the other videos that these add up to 255. So the third octet is going to be 255. And we're going to slide past that. That's 8, 9, 10. So we're going to slide here. This is where we're going to put our line. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right. Don't want to cover up any letters, numbers. Okay, so now we have our line in place. This line is going to tell us, well, of course we already know we've got 18, and it's going to tell us how many networks we're going to get, how many hosts we're going to get, right? It's going to tell us our magic number, and it's also going to tell us, well, this is something we already knew because it gave it to us down here. Okay, it's also, because we've added up all these numbers here, this gave us our subnet mask. So our subnet mask, we knew the 255 was already there in the beginning. So what we did was we just slid down here and we filled that one up. That filled up that 255. Then we got 128 plus 64 was another 192. So the rest were all zeros, so we didn't add anything else up. So the third octet is 192. Second octet is 255. The first octet we don't mess with. It's got nothing to do with us. But it's telling us now, based on this, how many hosts we're going to get. Remember, you always take away 2 for the host. So let's remember that and write something to remind. All right, so h minus 2, that'll remind you. Whatever your hosts are, and remember the hosts are the only thing on the right side of the bar. Everything else is on the left. Your magic number, and we're going to talk about your magic number, but if you've done the Class C and the Class B, you know what the magic number is. But I will explain it as if you don't. Okay, so if the boss wants you to get a set amount of hosts, you just slide down until you get to the hosts, on the right side of the bar. If he says, I don't care how many subnets or anything, I just want subnets that hold 8,000. Well, then you would slide down here to this spot, and that's how you would do it. And it would tell you you could get 2,000 hosts or 2,000 networks. All right, so and your sitter number would be 19, and your magic number would be 32. Okay, we're just working with this one right now because I just need to stick with one, and then we'll do other stuff later. All right, so we wanted to lay out our network so we can see exactly, gives us an idea what we're doing. So we're starting out with just this one to make it easy. I wanted to use something in the middle so that you can see how these numbering sequences work. I mean, if you started over here, it would be easier because you'd have your magic number falling in this octet, this third octet, and then you would know that these just increment up by one. But in this case, we wanted to do it right in the middle. And then you see that the increments after you fill up the magic numbers increment in the third octet right in the middle here. So that's what we're doing here. We're incrementing them up. And remember, our magic number is 64. So we're going by 60. We're counting by 64s. All right. So the first network, of course, was the 10.0.0.0. And then because our magic number is 64 in the third octet, so our next network was 10.0.64.0. And then the one after that would be, adding 64 each time in the third octet. So you can see 64, 128, 192, and then you can't go any farther because, you run into the next network, which is 10.1.0.0. And then 10.1.64, 10.1.128. So you can see it just keeps incrementing up. And if you look in this second octet, you'll notice that there's 4 zeros in this line. Then there's going to be 4 ones, and there's going to be 4 twos. There's going to be 4 threes. So you can see that the progression always goes the same. So in the zeros, it's got a 0, a 64, a 128, and a 192. And then with the ones here, the 0, a 64, a 128, a 192. So you just keep going down the line. That's how you make your networks. All right, and then the range falls in the middle between the broadcast and the network. And you remember from our Class C and Class B video that the broadcast, the way you figure out your broadcast is first you lay out your networks. So the networks are added up by adding 64 each time, and we just talked about that. So just go ahead and lay out a group of networks like I did here, and then to find out what the broadcast is for this first network, it's always going to be one less than the next network, right? What's one less than 64? 63, right? Well, we've got another octet here that hasn't been used, so we have to use up all those too, and there's 255 in there. So the broadcast would be, remember, we're just going to bump this up. We're going to go back 1, so 63. The broadcast for the first network is 63, 255, because the very next number after 63, 255 is 64.0, right? Remember that from the Class B? And if you took the Class B video and you saw it, then this will be very easy for you because just pretend like we're working with the last 2 octets as you're going down. Or you can just look at it, shave off the last octet and just use the 2 middle ones as we did in the Class B. But you'll get this if you just keep chugging along. This is pretty basic. Remember, we're just counting by the magic number, whatever the magic number is, and it's it's the top number next to the bar. And then you get your broadcast, which is one less than the next network. So if the next network is 10.0.64.0, then the one in front of it would be 63.255. So that's what we did. And once you start seeing this is going to be easy for you. I'll show you why. You see how this became easy because you could see that these go down and you're just adding, you're getting 4 and then 4 more and then 4 more. So that becomes like a little set and you'll get used to that little set. Well, the same thing happens here, only one less than those numbers. So instead of 64, you've got a 63. Instead of 128, you've got a 127. Instead of 192, you've got a 191, right? Instead of 0, you got a 255. Why? Because 255 is 1 less than 0. And you got to know that when you're subnetting because it's like a clock. If you look at a clock on, if you don't understand a clock, you would say, why did it stop at 59 and then start over again? That doesn't make any sense. It should go all the way to 99 and then start over again. No, because clocks work on a 60-minute thing. Well, that's the same issue with this. Our clock ends at 2:55 and then it starts over again. So that's what's happening. So when you get all the way through when you go through 255, then you go to the next network. So here's our network. Our first one is 0. And remember, everybody knows this, I'm sure, the first, uh, the 1 is usually reserved on the first network for, it's the gateway. And you got to have a gateway. So it's the first one. But we're just going to go ahead and list out all of the ranges. And you'll see after 64, it starts with 64.1. It goes all the way to 127.254. Then you got 127.255 for the broadcast. Because 128.0 is the next network. Remember, this is how we do it. This is our standard. Lay out your networks first. Then lay out your broadcasts because you can see what they are. One less. This top broadcast is going to be one less than the second network. So you look at that next network and you say, what's below this? What's immediately under 64? Well, 63. But there's a 0 here, so it's not 63.0, is it? It's 63.255. And the same here. You see this? 128, 127.255. Now, if the 64 would have fallen here, then you would have had 10.64.0.0, and then down here, the broadcast would have been 10.64.255.255, right? Because the next one would be 128. Okay, so, and there will be times when the magic number will fall in the last octet if you're borrowing into that. Not likely, but it's possible. I'm not going to work with that today. We're just going to try to stay here and maybe we'll bump back into this second octet. So now you understand how to lay out your networks. You understand how to lay out your broadcasts. And you understand how the range squeezes in between them. So there can be no extra numbers. The range starts here. You can't include the network. So the very next number after that is 1. And then, it goes to 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 255. And then remember the 255 is not a broadcast until it gets all the way to 63.255 because all those other numbers in the middle are usable hosts from 0.0.1 all the way to 0.63.254. All those are usable, so that's a lot of hosts. Well, obviously it's a lot. It's 16,382. 84 minus 2. That's how many hosts are in here. So yeah, there's a lot. And I'm assuming you'll be able to fill in these ranges as you go because, again, you're just, like in this case, the very next number after this network is going to be 0.192.1, right? And it's going to go all the way up until it bumps into this uh, broadcast, which bumps into the network. So that would be 192.1 all the way through to 255.254, right? You can't count the 254.5 because it's already used in the broadcast. I hope this isn't too difficult, or, I mean, I hope you guys are getting this. Try not to make this too long of a video. All right, if you wanted to, let's say it was a slash 15, then the line would go here, slash 14, so whatever the slash is, and what you're going to end up doing, generally speaking, what's going to end up happening is they're going to give you a number here. It's going to be like 10.27.3.15 or whatever, and they're going to say slash 18, and they're going to say, okay, tell us about that subnet. Well, you can tell them the subnet mask just based on the 18, right? Because we know how to do that. That's 8 plus 8 plus 2 more is 18. That's how we figure that out. And when we see that this is in the third octet is cut into it, then that's how we know that we're going to be the magic number is going to be falling in the third octet. We also know, because we've been working with these before, that the magic number is going to be 2 over. We know it's going to be 64. How do we know it's going to be 64? Well, when I see that 192, I know that means that these two numbers are added up, or these two numbers, because it's in the middle. I know that just because I've worked on this so many times. I can remember that 192 means 2 bits borrowed into that octet. And that tells me, when I've used 2, because the first one's 128, the second one's 64, that the magic number is always the last number that I added. Well, the last number that I added when I'm adding these two up is the 64, right? So that's my magic number. If I would have been adding these 3, if I would have put the line here and added these 3, then 32 would have been the magic number, and you would have been incrementing here. Instead of 64, that would have been 32. Instead of 128, that would have been 64. You see? And that would have changed all this because these would have been smaller. Because if you put the line here, you're going to get less hosts, more networks. Remember that. If you're sliding the line this way to the right, you're always going to get more networks, less hosts. If you're borrowing into the network side, if you go to the left, you're going to get more hosts. See, look how many hosts you can get, but less networks. All right, just to give you a couple examples. Let's say the professor gives you a Class A number here, and it's a slash 19. All right, then we would know slash 19 would make this number right here a 224, right? Because we would add these 3 numbers together. It would also let us know that the magic number is 32. We know that just by looking at it. 19 is going to make the magic number 32. That's going to tell us right there in our mind, we'll know that these are going to be divided, that 32s are going to be falling in that octet, where whatever octet is broken up. If it's 255, well, it's not in that octet. If it's 0, it's not in that octet. It's the one that's got a number that's in between those two. That's the one you're going to be dealing with. And we also know that because we saw the 18. And 18 is telling us 8 plus 8 plus 2. But if we make the example here, we put the line here, we're going to get 2,048 networks. We're going to get 8,190 hosts because we had to take away 2. And the slash indication or the sitter number is going to be 19, the magic number 32. All very important. And then, of course, like I said, all these would change: 32, 64, etc. So this gives you all your examples. If, for example, you need to understand more about the specifics of how subnetting works, watch my Class C, watch my Class B videos. I'm going to post them on the bottom. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I will answer just as quickly as I can. Thank you very much, and please thumbs up the video and share it with your friends. Tell everybody about it if you can. This really is going to help people out. Appreciate it. Good talking to you. Talk to you later.